Hey guys, today we have our first Dropzone Commander video battle report. We're going to be playing 2,000 points on a 6 foot by 4 foot table. It's going to be United Colonies of Man versus Shaltari. First we have the United Colonies of Man army. We have two groups of infantry. They're each mounted in bear APCs with Condor dropships. Then we have an Albatross with 6 sabers and 3 rapiers. We have the Praetorian Special Forces in their light dropships. We have Praetorian snipers in their dropship, being proxied right now. We have 2 Gladius tanks, and then we have the Ferrum drone base. Then over here in the corner we have the Kodiak with 4 Wolverines. Then for the Shaltari, we've got the gates first. We have 3 Haven Terra gates, 2 light gates, spirits, 1 Gaia heavy gate, and 3 Eden medium gates. Then for the command group, we have 2 Ocelots, the Coyote with the highest level commander, 4 Yaris with the anti-aircraft option, the ion cannon, and 2 bases of firstborns. Over here we have 2 of the new Bird Eater Striders, 2 groups of Braves. That's an infantry formation. Here we have the same thing. Back here for our main armored formation, we have 4 of the Tarantula Walkers. We have the Fire Drake and 2 of the Thunderhawk gunships. Our mission for today is encroachment. The goal is to kill the enemy's units. You get points equal to their points total, and then you also get points for having units in your opponent's table half. What you really want to do is get your infantry in their buildings, because for every infantry squad that you have in their table half in a building, you get 3 times their victory points total. Deployment done with units that wanted to direct deploy. For the Shaltari, we have the 2 Ocelot War Striders, the Yaris, and the Coyote command vehicle. They've deployed here in the center, and across from them, the UCM have deployed their Wolverine scout tanks, their Scimitar tank destroyers, and the Ferrum drone base. The drones are sitting there waiting for their first takeoff move. The Shaltari won the first roll for initiative, and we'll have first turn 1 just ended. We're coming back here at the end. Walk you through the activations. The first thing to activate was the Shaltari command group. The Ocelots fired over here and destroyed both of the scimitars there in the back. The commander stepped out here and knocked 1 point off of the building across from him. Then he played a card, Power to the Engines, to give his Yaris a little extra boost of speed at the expense of their shields. They advanced here to the center of the table. The first activation for the UCM was their armor there dropping out, and they deployed in a semicircle there up front. Second activation for the Shaltari was their flyers and their main armor. We brought on the Hell Drake, or the Fire Drake, and his Thunderbird escorts here. They fired here through the gap and destroyed that lead saber. And then one of the guys, the 2 guys came on and dropped off the squadron of tarantulas here. The UCM next activated their command group. They fired the orbital laser here, destroyed one of the tarantulas. They brought their Wolverines around here to protect the flank, and the drone base released its drones, and they've flown here to the center of the table. The rest of the activations, the Shaltari brought on their infantry here. This Eden Gate chose to land and stay there and drop off these 2. Then the Gaia brought on these 2, plus the Haven Gate that's hidden in the shadow there in the middle. It dropped these infantry into the building. For the UCM, their snipers have been brought up here in their Raven to take center position. Praetorians are moving along on their flank. The squad I left out in the introductions there is another squad of AA tanks. They came on in their Condor and deployed in the side street. And then we have the 2 infantry formations moving up to the center of the table. So at the end of turn 1, neither of us have anything in the other's deployment zone, but the Shaltari have scored 100 points so far from destroying the 2 scimitars. So right now the score is Shaltari Tribes 100, UCM 0. Up turn 2. The Shaltari moved up here. They got their Praetorians into this building. I'm sorry, the UCM, not the Shaltari. They put their Praetorians in this building. But before that happened, this infantry group activated. These battle striders walked up, and they shot down the sniper Praetorian dropship. And when it crashed, we rolled the 6. So everybody in that transport exploded in the air. We also moved to the wall here with these Braves. put a few hull points off of that building. In the center here, when the command group activated, these tanks back here had already fired, and these guys had already fired. When they fired on this building here with the ocelots on the top and dealt 13 damage points to that building. So, in my turn, I moved the Gaia onto the roof and moved them out, then used the rest of the guys' move to go to the ground. And the two Edens over here picked up the ocelots and dropped them into the center. Notice the one ocelot has 2 damage points left. He took a hit from the orbital laser hiding over there behind that building. Orbital laser knocked 2 points out of him. On this end, aircraft moved up. The Wolverines had advanced to right here. They knocked out one of my Thunderbirds as they came over the building with reaction fire. The Fire Drake took the roof, destroyed one, and between these and the Thunderbird, I was only able to get two of the Wolverines back there. However, I did have a little better luck here. These things moved up. They fired on the Yaris. Yaris were able to take a ridiculous amount of damage and only lost one. And then between the Yaris and these Bird Eaters, I was able to wreck all but one of the Fairham's drones. So at the end of turn 2, we're still standing, unless I'm miscounting. Nope, we've got the points here. We'll figure those points here in just a minute. But turn 2, Shaltari and UCM getting ready. Turn 3. The UCM have started to make their move here. We have the Praetorians having abandoned this and played an underground monorail into this building. So they're in my deployment zone now in garrison, which means they're worth 3 times their victory points as long as they're alive and in that building. They've also moved their Raven up here, which has taken more points. Down here, we have infantry that have dropped out. I phased my Bird Eaters down here to try to target the Condors, and they got out so that any crashes in midair could be prevented. The Condor dropped the Bears here behind the building and then flew over behind this building and went to the ground so that it would be harder to damage, harder to see. The other infantry have garrisoned here with their Condor and Bears below. One of the Wolverines is here. We still have the Thunderbird and 2 gates sheltering here behind the building. The Fire Drake's taken to the street. You can see some more smoke there where we've lost more tanks down here on this end. The gravity gun tarantulas moved up here and were able to destroy one more of the battle tanks, and the ocelots took out another 2. 4 more drones have spawned here because the originals have all crashed and been destroyed now. We played field repairs on this ocelot, got his 2 damage points back. The other ocelot took hits from the sabers and lost 2 of his points. So right now, that's where we're standing. The victory points at this point, the dead units have been figured in with the units that are in the buildings. So the total is not final. It can still be changed up. We figured it would be more fun to play it that way as we went. And at this point, the UCM, because of all the units they've gotten over here, have 806 points, and the Shaltari have 538. This turn, the Condor moved up here that had dropped off its load. It was destroyed, though, by the Bird Eaters, who also knocked a few points out of this building, but without any result on the Praetorians. Down here in the street, the second Raven that was brought in on the call for extraction card was destroyed by the other Bird Eaters' ion cannons. The gates all started shifting down the table. The biggest thing that happened this turn, though, was this building was destroyed. We had some combined fire. The Ocelots and the Commander managed to knock out 11 points from it, and the Braves were able to roll ridiculously well with their Gauss rifles, get double damage with all the shots, and then the gravity cannons from the Tarantulas finished the job. The Wolverines were also finished off. The orbital laser knocked out this Terragate to prevent some infantry moving up. The infantry here moved around, came to the wall, fired, and knocked a point out of this battle strider. And the Braves recommitted up front, came in here. For this destroyed Haven Terragate, I used a call for extraction card as well, and brought one in that's still in readiness right now. The armor formation shifted this way and started firing, and the anti-air weapons fired here and have my Fire Drake down to 1 damage point. So that's where we're standing after turn 4. We've got some more drones coming in down here. We had some drones last turn come in on the far end, moving down there between the buildings to start shooting down through there. And as of right now, the score is Shaltari 1190 and UCM 1154. So right now we're real close. We just need to see if we can knock each other out of our deployment zone. For turn 5, the Shaltari were able to get the initiative again. The cards that I drew, one of them, well, I drew 2 copies of Scoutgate Drone, which allows me to teleport a squad into a building within the sphere of influence of my commander. And his sphere of influence is 24 inches. The first one, my opponent played an espionage card against, which shut it down, but I did have 2 in my hand, so I played another one, and I brought the firstborns here into his deployment zone. And he did the math at that point and said that he doesn't think there's anything he can do to turn this one back. We measured out all of his units. He really doesn't have any range to get anything else in my deployment zone. And with all those elements I have down here to shoot at this building, he's afraid he's not going to have time to get those infantry out into a different building. So at that point, he's going to go ahead and call it. That'll be a Shaltari victory. It was close down at the end, though, and this mission was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, because normally whenever you play just to kill each other, there's not that secondary element of trying to break their line and get into their deployment zone. So this was a fun mission. It was hard fought down to the end, and he couldn't get the dice rolls he needed whenever he needed them. But we had a good game and look forward to more coming in the future.